All right, all right. Aloha Friday Live, everybody. Thank you for being with me tonight. I'm still waiting on my guest, but that's okay because you know what? We're going to get this started. Melissa's in the house. I'm going to bring her in and get this rolling, folks. Thank you for being with us during this final day. Tomorrow's the final day of Hispanic Heritage Month, but we're going to roll this music throughout the episode so you can hear it. So happy to be here. So happy to have Melissa with me. And I'm going to get her in that stream here. Melissa. Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
Well, folks, we're going to be talking a little bit about a whole lot of stuff, but mainly what it is to be a veteran, what it is to be a military spouse, what it is to be an entrepreneur, run your own stuff, what it is to be Hispanic. Tomorrow we end Hispanic Heritage Month, so we're going to take advantage and get that music in the background, but it's so nice to have you, Melissa, with me tonight as we head down this episode. Covering all kinds of things that you're going to tell us about. But before we get into it, give us a little bit of your background.
Yes, thank you again for having me on here. And I hope that you can hear everything properly. I'm actually at WeWork today. So I had a Bunker Labs meeting and we are just now finishing. So I decided to use one of these wonderful WeWork spaces. For my first time. So if you hear anything in the background, I do apologize.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so I'm Melissa Green. I am the founder and CEO of Southern Sweet and Sassy LLC. And that does encompass both Southern Sweet and Sassy Coffee as well as Rise Above Coffee. And we focus on our badass coffee causes. And so for those of you who don't know what it is each month we provide awareness and education for one nonprofit that's within the military family space and one nonprofit that's within the LGBTQ plus space. And at the very end of the month, we provide a donation. A percentage of our proceeds will go towards both those nonprofits to help support their services. So we do promote our coffee community and support. But myself, I am a U.S. Navy veteran and married almost actually, I think this might be the 19th year to my husband, who's also a U.S. Navy retiree. And not only was I in the military, but then I got out and became the military spouse. So I have that experience as well. And we do have 4 kids and I am in the recruiting space. So I do a lot of recruiting for IT. So that's what I've been doing, kind of like my day job. But eventually I'm going to grow the company and that's going to be my full-time focus.
Well, I'm so happy that you did go down. First of all, thank you for your service. I'm also a Navy retiree, so I'm happy to have one of the family. Hey, we just had a birthday, right? The 13th was the birthday. Today we're together. Tomorrow is the last day of Hispanic Heritage Month. Exciting times all around us. But Melissa, so your time in service, a lot of people don't understand how much service time does influence our propensity and our capability of doing the work you're doing now, entrepreneurship. So tell us a little bit about how that background, kind of forged some areas in your life to be able to head this on, because not too many military spouses go down this route, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. I would say, military spouse entrepreneurship has been brought to light within maybe the past 3-4 years. Yeah. It's not very, it wasn't something that you would think of like 5-10 years ago. Right. I know that there is a lot of military spouses as well as veterans that, have the hope to build a business and without I would say programs like, Bunker Labs or, AMSI or Rosie, the Rosie Network,
Right.
without programs like that, um, not everybody would really know how to go about entrepreneurship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Being a veteran, it provided me with the necessary drive to go after what I want. I know that, my time in the military, it was very routine, listening to your superiors and doing what they want you to do. But again, I mean, you have that drive to succeed. You have that determination. You have that backbone, that grit. Like one of my friends, one of my connections, she's one of the founders of Pride and Grit. So it's like, you
Mm.
just you have that, and when you get out, you bring that determination and that that drive to succeed. You bring that to your business, or you bring that to life, depending on where it takes you. For me, I'm bringing that to my business because I want to see that grow and I want to leave my kids a legacy, something that they can leave their kids, and so on and so forth. So it really does provide you with that willpower, to just continue moving forward.
Yeah, and I love that. I want to take the time and thank anybody that or everybody that's joined us today. Dave Jones, my chief brother, my other brother from another mother. He's joining us, and I love him to death. Folks, if you're looking, if you're in the show, I see a number of you. Go ahead, don't be shy. Get in the comments. Let us know where you're chiming in from, and we love to entertain that. So, Melissa, there's a framework that you talked about that the Navy does provide us. Same framework they provided me to be able to host shows and do shows, right? They put you in the front, they have you briefing, they have you talking to folks, and you get you get to hone some skills throughout your time. Now you was I remember from back when we talked, you was at Lay, right? So not a not a frequented base unless you belong there. So what did you do
Right.
there? What did you do?
Oh my goodness. So I worked on torpedoes.
Look at that, folks.
Yeah, yeah. So I was in weaponry. So I worked on torpedoes, which was actually really funny because when I initially took the ASVAB, I think I was like a senior in high school, and I took the ASVAB. My mechanical skills was a lot higher than anything else, than the general and the math skills. Apparently, my mechanics was a lot better. And torpedo men was one of those that I was able to choose, and I chose to do that. Didn't know too much about it. Being a woman going in at that time, I thought I'd be like, I don't know, at a desk or something like that, but had no clue what being a torpedo men's mate was about. But it was actually pretty cool. Building torpedoes, taking it apart, maintaining them, banding them. It was definitely an experience. And yes, if only those that were there at Lululay knows that what Lululay is about. But it goes by another name, Westlock.
Yeah.
Um, but it was quite an experience. I had a lot of fun. My husband was the same. He was also a torpedo man's mate, and we met. We worked in the torp shop at Lululay, and that's how we met. And then he ended up transitioning into gunner's mate in '09 because
Mm,
they had that merge,
right. Hmm.
and he retired a gunny. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned. Hey, I didn't know what to expect going to a to a desk somewhere, right? And what a shame that we have that expectation, right? As women, um, uh,
Yeah.
you there are so many different barriers, to entry nowadays. I don't see that many, right? But there's still some that
Mhm.
exist. But just to have that mentality of thought, like, yeah, what am I gonna do with a torpedo? You're actually doing something with it.
Right.
Amazing that you got into. It's funny. I got into meteorology, oceanography because my math and science were high. I don't think there was a lick of mechanics in my that I scored high on at all. But I pay for that. Right?
Yeah.
Um, so you do the service thing. You're a service member. It's totally different. to transition from the the active duty side to complement now an active duty member. And so how was that for you, going from active duty yourself to fulfilling that role?
Um, I want to say that it was seamless. No, it wasn't. To be quite honest, it was not. It's almost like you go from being able to know things to not being in the know, and
Mm,
you don't have that privilege because your spouse can only tell you what they're able to tell you, and any other classified or
right.
confidential information they're not
Mhm.
allowed to share. Whereas when you were in, you were privy to all of that,
Right.
that your first class would provide you, because obviously you had to be in the know, you were doing it. So having no knowledge of what actually was happening, or where he was going, what he was doing, and having to kind of like just sit on the sidelines and take care of house and home, kids. It was very different. It was going from having to get up and go onto the ship daily or go into the shop daily,
Right.
you know duty every, what, I think it might have been like every 7 days or some odd, depending on how it was, going from duty to being at home. um, that's really what it was, being at home,
Yeah.
supporting him and his career. Eventually, years later, because I ended up getting out in '03, well, at the very end of '03, '04. So years later, that I started going to school. And that was
Mm.
my focus. I was focusing on my
Right.
kids, and I was focusing on school because I knew eventually he would get out and I needed to better myself. And so I was doing that from 2011 all the way up to like every week, all the way up until 2018.
Yeah, and not so long ago, I had actually last week I had Moni on the show, and we discussed about the identity crisis that we as service members go through, just transitioning from active duty military to civilian life. That transition from an active duty member to a military spouse, so you suffered a couple of transitions there. Just but then as a retiree, it's different phases, and now you're working on your own company, which I tell you, folks, we're gonna make available the links to Melissa's website and all that she provides. But I am a stark drinker, and we're gonna get into your company right now. I'm a stark drinker of Hawaiian Host, coffee. Right, as I was in Hawaii for a long time, I still get it shipped to my house. Hawaiian Host, right? Vanilla macadamia nut. That's me, right? And so, but the only the only other coffee that I've ever had outside of Hawaiian O's is that Ethiopian caramel. And let me tell you, it was just so smooth. And I want to give you just a transition for you to speak on now your ventures as an entrepreneur in the coffee space, because there's a lot of folks that are getting into that space now.
Yeah. Um, I feel like, in a way, that on the veteran side, the coffee shops are maxed.
Mm,
Because it's one of those products that is a commodity, and love of coffee and necessity it's just not going to go away. It's one
mm,
of those that's going to constantly be there. So it's good, it's like a smart business to get into the coffee space. But I think what people really need to think of is, if they get into the coffee space, you really need to think about your market.
mm,
That's where you can differentiate yourself from other coffee shops.
right.
Like for me, I can market to the veterans space if I wanted to. I don't, but if I
Right.
wanted to, I can. But I feel like, like I was saying, the veteran space for certain industries is maxed out.
Mm,
And I wanted to stand out. And in order for me to stand out, I had to choose a separate market. And so, since I was a military spouse, um, that is what I've been, one of my focuses. So when I initially started, I focused on military families and providing, support the community. And then when I added Rise, another really big community that supports us is the LGBTQ plus a community, and that's really big because when you show support of that community, they support you, and having those two focuses is what's setting me apart from the others. Plus, of course, our initiative. Our business model is completely different from other coffee shops. So we sell coffee to support and not just sell coffee to sell coffee.
Yeah, and I tell you that you know the whole customer experience is very real. When you interact with your company, and for those listening, and you did not hear Melissa is in the coffee space, has great products. Like I said, I'm usually that guy that's fixed, right? I don't wear no watches except a Rolex. That's just me, right? I don't wear no other watch. I find something and I stick to it. And when I reached out to you a while back, you was very quick to you send me like a care package, and I was like, whoa, and now blown away, right? But it's that type of stuff that you start to build a company around. What is it that you are trying to achieve? And it's funny because in the veteran space, yes, there are several. I can think of at least five coffee brands that are out there doing great things on their own. But soon enough, there are. We only represent 1% of the
Right.
nation, right? So you run out of
Yep.
steam real quick, and but there are other supporters out there. I'm so happy that you was able to find a market that you can provide both the support, and they're supporting you, but you also do this part of your business which you give back. And so how did you come up with, was that just a thing that you say, I'm going to make sure that the company always gives back, or that was something that you ran across while you was developing the company plan?
It was more of a, I guess, in a way, kind of like a strategic move, because again,
Okay.
it's not something that you really come across. You
Yeah.
see a lot of companies that they do donate their time or they donate their money, which is great. But then my company is different because not only are we also donating money at the end of the month, but we're spotlighting them and we're sending out to
Yeah.
our subscribers, we're sending out emails that talk about the nonprofits for the month. We have them on our blogs, so we're really providing that education and that awareness, and we do it throughout the month, and tag them in our social
Yeah.
media. And
Mhm.
then at the very end of the month, we go ahead and make that donation. But then I also share the thank you email, like a snippet of the thank you email to show that, yes, we are donating. But again, it was more of a strategic move because we wanted to do something that would benefit the communities. Um, and for me, giving back, is a benefit. These nonprofits, they are providing support and services. Most times it's free of charge to those in our community.
Right.
And they do a lot of fundraising events to fundraise money. And so we're, I mean, it might not be a whole lot at this moment, but it's the thought that counts. And so we are just out of the gate
Yeah.
providing what we can and doing what we can to help support. Um, and we don't ask nothing from them. We don't ask them to share anything about us. It's just our model.
you know uh, the beauty of it is that you laid a foundation that most people see as an afterthought, right? After
Mhm.
they in operation and they selling and they making whatever money hand over fist or whatever it may be, then they say, "Oh, maybe we should give back." You took this on right from like you said, right out of the gate as a part of your business model, that it's important, right? It's important to you. It's important to those that are receiving those services, to have a company helping them out in that regard. So, as a person that has taken a sip of your coffee, and oh, by the way, folks, there are coffee mugs. There's just all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, right? And we'll cover that here later. But as a participant in the quality behind it, and that's I want to let's get into not necessarily all the ins and outs of how you get the coffee, but how do you come up with not just the mind to do coffee, but how do you get into this industry, right? Because if I want to roast coffee, I'll just have to go outside and do it myself. How did you get into this whole business of it? And then we'll talk about here the future.
Yes. So I will tell you, first and foremost, I am a huge coffee lover. I have been for decades. And, it's like the go to drink of the military.
Hmm.
Although my coffee is not sludge, so it's a lot better.
Yeah.
But still, it's definitely, it's the go to drink. You want a break, drink coffee
Right.
or smoke on the smoke deck. But, now we're all about health.
Right.
So
Right.
drink coffee. But so it just I would say it kind of fell into my lap.
Mm.
And for years, I have been looking into a way to have my own business. I just never knew how to go about it. I have an MBA that don't teach you much. So I mean, I got an MBA, great, but
Good on you.
no, it didn't help at all in starting my business.
Right.
And so it really fell into my lap. And it was just one of those kind of like split second decisions. I was watching, I think it was a TikTok, to be quite honest. I was watching a TikTok video and it was talking about, Shopify and, stores and integrations and apps and things of that nature. And so I looked into Shopify and I came across an amazing roaster who's here in the United States. So
Mm.
I have a roaster. So they take care of the operations like roasting the beans once an order is made, shipping, and all of that. And then I'm on the other side. So I'm basically marketing. So it's my business, my labels, my company. I just have a roaster that does it for me. And
Wow.
they are, and I can say this, they are the best roaster that I have ever tasted. And that was one of the reasons that I stuck with them, and I will continue to stick with them. Their coffee is so smooth, and you can
Hmm.
attest to that.
I
It's
can.
so smooth. Yes, it's not bitter, which, anybody who is part of, let's say, an E2M, I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard of that, but E2M group, this is a coffee that would work for them because they're always looking for black coffee, but they have a hard time because they're always finding coffee that's bitter and they have to find a way that goes with the program requirements to be able to drink
Right.
that coffee.
Hmm.
Well, guess what? You can drink my coffee and you don't have to put anything in it because it's very, very smooth
It
and it's
really
very
is.
low acidic and it's not bitter. So having an amazing roaster and being able to be part of like programs like Bunker Labs and Rosie and all of those have been able to guide me in my entrepreneurship journey. Again, without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I needed that guidance. MBA, you need that guidance and that camaraderie and that network.
Well, there's a lot of debate around the educational institution side of business, but we that have been in the business landscape for the last several years can tell you that it's mostly learned in a mentorship coaching environment. There's a lot of experiences that come into those, Bunker Labs, the Rosie Network, AMC are all doing a great job in the veteran military spouse space. I'll make sure to put them in the chat and so they can see. But it's one thing to run across something, think it's a good idea, and then just say, let's go with this, because
Yeah.
it's very scary, right? Now, you happen to find a roaster that you're pleased with, that I'm pleased with, uh because I tell you, I'll drink that coffee all day long. But there's still these fear factors because we just don't know. um, the
Mhm.
programs and organizations that we named, obviously have a good training environment in terms of entrepreneurship, but you still have to go out on your own, right? So
Right.
how did you get yourself ready to say, I'm just going to go ahead and do this thing, because there are a lot of fears.
So when I initially started, again, it was more, I just kind of rolled with it. When I get an idea in my head, I roll with it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, mm, pivot and try again,
Right,
And
right.
so it's like, I always just kind of like go after it. And then now I'm at the point where, again, it's about who you can kind of like connect with. So connecting and networking and getting the brands out there is kind of where I'm at now. To be able to continue to, to grow and scale, and having the network of people, that want to see you succeed and that are helping you to succeed. It's, it just kind of alleviates a lot of the nervousness and the fears of having a small business, because you have your community that has your back. They want to see you excel.
Mm. Yeah, there's safety in numbers for sure, and especially in these organizations that we've named. But not just the on the business standpoint, but the fact that they are prior military themselves, right?
Yep.
They are military spouses themselves, and that kinship facilitates a lot of growth, because we know exactly what folks are going through, at whatever junction they are. And if we didn't, there's enough numbers of us in those organizations that can help out. The roasting is one thing, the coffee is another, the company is another. But for those that are out there that are military spouses, they really do want to go and do something for themselves, because like I mentioned earlier, there's a identity crisis. Am I my own person? Am I this spouse? Am I part of the military? I'm not. Some of them don't feel like they even matter, right? And because
Mhm.
sometimes the military compliment just does not, applaud a family. At least when I first was in, they were like, "Yo, shipmate, that didn't come in your sea bag, right?" that, and I'm
I'll
like,
fit
"What do you
in the
mean?"
sea bag, I'm sure.
But I was like, "What do you mean? You married yourself? How you gonna tell me that, right?" But these things that people say, and these reactions and feelings are all different throughout, right? There's some people that just say, "Oh no, we had a great," I did not, right? And so,
Right.
um for those that are military spouses, they're listening, or service members or retirees that have military spouses that are wanting to get into this entrepreneur thing. um, what would be some things that you would tell them that they should start at least considering if they're going to go down this road?
Oh my goodness. So if they're going to go down the entrepreneurial road, if you have an idea, like write it down. If you don't, then either way, you need to connect with your community. And, like I said, Rosie has a great program for military spouse entrepreneurs. Even if, let's say, you want to become an entrepreneur, but you're unsure how, you're not sure about an idea, or maybe you just have the idea, but you're not sure how to put it into fruition. This program is something that you definitely should get involved with, and they'll be able to lay that foundation for you and help you along. And Bunker, you have to have, I guess, a business to be able to get into this program. But again, it's another free program, and it helps, lay foundations. It helps you with your asks, connects you to other, entrepreneurs, or can connect you to a variety of people. Let's say you want funding, or, if you have an ask about, you want to connect somebody that can help you with contracts. I mean, there's so many things that Bunker would be able to help you with. But the biggest thing is if you want to get into the entrepreneurial space, you need to connect with your community. They will help you.
And I'm having a question. Hey, what's the name of that coffee? I might have to try it. I'm gonna throw it in there real quick so they can get it. But give us a couple of the flavors that you say. Oh man, you got to try this. I mean, everything you should try. But I
Oh
had
yeah.
I had Ethiopian caramel.
Mm-hmm.
I'll raise my right hand on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one you want to get.
Yes, yeah, and I have to. So I have changed some of the labels and the names of half my coffees, because half
Oh,
of them are prospectively for Rise Above, and the other half are for Southern Sweet and Sassy. So I have to check on Ethiopian
yeah.
Caramel. I might have changed that name, but if you're a cinnamon lover like
Mm.
myself, I love cinnamon. There is Twisted Grinds, and it is a Cinnabon type coffee, and it's so
Ooh,
good,
oh, you messed
so
me
so
up,
good.
sis. You messed me up.
Or or if you like cinnamon hazelnut, that one is called Can't Think Straight, and it's really amazing as well. But then you have your extra morning cup, which is a breakfast blend. So if you wanted that extra caffeine kick in the morning, that's a good one
Mm.
as well. Hmm.
Oh boy, she done
Um,
switched the names up. Now I gotta go back.
But the good for you is, like, anyone that you click on, the descriptor is there. So you'll be
Right.
able to know what coffee it is. You'll be able to know about the coffee. Some of them, I think my single origins, I go into detail about the location and just the volume and just all sorts of stuff. So you can take a look at it. But there's a lot of really good coffees. A lot of my favorite. There's even a whiskey blend, so it's like a whiskey barrel aged, and that
Oh
is
man,
bean.
you don't even have to put the whis-
And that is a coffee where the beans are aged in a bourbon barrel for about 30 days. So,
Oh, Dave Jones, brother. I don't know. You might want to jump on that one. Well, I put the Southern Sweet and Sassy Coffee page, the LinkedIn page on there. You can click on there and you can go actually to the website. They'll have it linked, or you could go to Melissa's LinkedIn page, and she'll have all those in her profile. It's amazing what can happen within a handful of years. A couple of years ago, we thought the world was over. I thought everybody gonna die. I was like, man, we're gonna cough ourselves to death here.
no.
Unfortunately, I know of people in my family, my mom, that did die during that period. It's just unfortunate and part of life. So for all those, I'm not laughing at that period because I suffered the one of the major
Yeah.
losses in my life. But it's how you can recover and come out of that period and see companies like yours, entrepreneurs like you, taking what could have crippled anyone, and a lot of people did go out of business. And
Mhm.
our hearts go out to them because we know how business is and how critical that is to the family. But companies like yours and programs like Bunker Labs, and that we put on AMC, the Rosie Network, helping not only military spouses but even veterans that are wanting to go into these spaces and do something for themselves. So now you take your company, you have this give back program, which is I love. Where is Melissa taking Southern Sweet and Sassy, and all the different things that you are building from underneath that umbrella? Where are you headed?
Oh, only ways up for sure. But I am currently starting to vet out my 2023 nonprofits list. So I'm putting that together. And we have a Black Friday sale that's also going to be coming up, of course, at the end of November.
Hmm.
And then the plan is to go B2B. So we do have the capabilities of providing businesses with coffee, since we are also a coffee supplier. We have wholesale costs and just obtain those wholesale contracts. We are still working on certification, so we can also go
Mm,
federal. So next
nice,
year is going to
nice.
bring a whole host of things that we have going on, and then plus making community connections here in Arizona.
Outstanding. Well, we are rooting for you and the company. We're rooting for all the things that you have in store. Now, you know, there's a lot of questions in entrepreneurship. There are some that are going to look at this episode and say, you know what, Melissa did it. I'm going to do it too. I'm going. I'm doing this. Um, but some that want to go ahead and purchase some coffee, I know I'm gonna. So folks, so for the folks that are listening, where can they go? And I put some of the links there, but where can they go? Well, where you want them to go to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so you can actually go to badasscoffeecauses.com. That is the name of our new domain because, again, we are focusing heavily on our Coffee for a Cause initiative. And there is our Southern Sweet and Sassy coffee line, as well as our Rise Above coffee line. We have been featured in a lot of articles lately. So we do have an in the news section. So if you want to check out in the news and see what we are doing. And then if you have any recommendations on what we should do, definitely reach out as well, because, we'd like to see what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm definitely gonna join the tasters line. Hold on, I won't skip that one. Well, man,
Right.
folks, Melissa not only did serve in the military, but served in the capacity of military spouse, which I'll tell you, sometimes it's much harder than the active component. You can tell because you did both,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
But from a perspective of a person observing, being at the senior enlisted and being able to witness how families have been impacted from service, the military spouse uh, job is a tough one. But
Mhm.
you add entrepreneurship as it doesn't even get it doesn't get any easier, but
No.
you've done that. Folks, I
Mhm.
encourage you to go to any of the links that have been put into the chat. Look around, find a coffee that suits you or piques your interest, and support this company that is just not only looking to benefit from their sales, but is also already integrated a give back program, which I love. Melissa, it's been so good to talk to you, to see you tonight. Is there anything you would like to say that we haven't covered but you would like to address?
Yes, we have a subscription program. So if you want reoccurring coffee deliveries and not have to worry about it, sign up. Plus, there's discounts for being a part of the subscription model. And then we do have GovX. So if you are
Mm,
military
nice.
spouse, veteran, even first responders, I think we might have teachers under there. Definitely go ahead and do the GovX on our website, and you'll be able to get your discount.
Outstanding. Well, folks, thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna raise up the music because we're celebrating. But folks, thank you so much. Aloha, mahalo to everyone. Melissa, bless you. Good to see you. I'm going to get on that subscription. I don't know about you, but I encourage everybody to do so. It's so good to be alive. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see each other next week as we continue to highlight military spouses and the good work they're doing. Mahalo, everybody.